you hope that that's going to be different going forward. And I hoped it was going to be different this year. I think everybody would agree with that. So, yeah, the Jets are still in a good spot. They really are. I think they're going to be fine going forward. When Kevin Shovel-Day gets in front of camera and talks about the tragedy of Scheifele's father passing and talks about the Jets being a family, there isn't too many organizations in the NHL that are as tight knit as the Winnipeg Jets, and they're going to be something to deal with going forward here.
Well, this is kind of the Jets' question, is it not? It's like they're so tight-knit that people said at the deadline, despite where they were, because of where they were in the standings, they don't want to shake up the room too much. They just make fringe ads. They get Luke Shin, Brandon Tanev, right? This group is this chemistry group. But you get to playoffs, and the other team has the best guy. It's so hard. So is this a team that needs to find a way to land the elite guy? And I don't even know if you can, because Winnipeg has some challenges in doing that, but can a group like this win in today's NHL?
Oh, that's a loaded question, isn't it? Because there's a lot of layers here going forward, guys. And my biggest fear right out of the box as an executive is where can we go in relation to the salary cap and our business model? Like, does it work for us? The NHL's business model is trending up clearly, and the salary cap going where it's going to go in the next couple of years benefits the big market teams, the Rangers, the Leafs, the Montreal Canadiens are going to have tons of space there. Even the Calgary Flames into a new rink. Think about it for a second. The Winnipeg Jets don't have that local type of influx in cash. People don't like to hear it, but it's a reality. And I'm not, it's not me putting down the Jets. It's just the reality of their environment there. So, two things. It's hard to attract that big it's hard to attract a Rantanen or somebody, that high-end caliber guy to come play in Winnipeg first of all. Second of all, what's our internal budget going to look like? And I'm curious to see where that goes. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I'd like to see them do exactly that for me. Capitalize on what they have. Hopefully hit a home run, go after a guy that's, that really upper echelon player. They have great players there, but they don't have a superstar. They don't have that outside of Hellebuck in regular season. So if I'm sitting in their shoes, I'm targeting guys that I know are going to be comfortable in that type of climate and environment, like Finnish people, the Swedes. Like, there's a certain player type. It's not going to be, Jacob Chychrun, born and raised in South Florida, that's necessarily going to go play for the Winnipeg Jets.
Nick Ehlers has turned himself into quite a player, and there's no question he's going to get a raise off his $6 million. But should Winnipeg seriously consider bringing this guy back?
He's going to get a raise. So Nick Ehlers, for me, as long as I've scouted this guy, going back to his Halifax days when he came over as an import there, I love his dart and dash, guys. If you look at his statistical, his history, statistically, he's never been that guy that is beyond 80 points every year. Like, he can bank it. You know what I mean? Like, he's never been that. A couple of things. Maybe it's synergy with his line mates. A healthy Velarde is going to make people around him better, for example. But, I think they got to go for a different type of player. Personally, for me, I don't know that you can have a Kyle Connor and Nick Ehlers on the same roster at the top of the food chain, pay structure-wise. I think that you got to get something that's kind of in between that, Kipper, something with a little bit more grit and growl, but still can push the play offensively, to be a harder out when you get to games against the Dallas Stars in playoffs. And you have to go through that extra layer of everything to get pucks to the net. So, in game 5, whatever it was, game 5 in Dallas, the 3-1 game, on balance, that was their best game of the series. I thought they did a lot of things well, but they couldn't really crack it. And I think Ehlers fits into that category. So I'm not overpaying on that. I'm curious to see what he gets on the open market. I'm sure that teams like Seattle are going to be fishing in those waters.
Let's talk about the other side of that series a little bit. The Dallas Stars, Thomas Harley gets the OT winner. Great shot. Kind of a coming out party for him. This past year, people figuring out who this guy is. Has he been pegged to track as one of these elite guys that it looks like he has quickly become?
Oh, I think that if you talk to Sammy Cause, he's always had him pegged exactly that way. For me, from a team building perspective, I would say I was hopeful more than super confident, I guess is the best way I can put it. Loved his length, loved his size, everything that you see right now, the way he's playing. That I was hoping for that, Borny, but I can't. I would be lying to you if I sat here and said it was a slam dunk for me. So having said that, his coming out party really was the Four Nations, wasn't it? When they dropped him into that lineup,
For sure.
and you saw how well he played there. This guy's a star on the horizon. Boy, oh boy, are they locked and loaded with those two youngsters like Harley and Heskinen for I don't know how many more years going forward. He's a special player. He can play all situations. He's got way more bite than people realize, and obviously he's got that offensive pedigree as well. He skates, he gets there, he competes at the hardest days. And you guys have listened. The three of us have talked about it. Sammy too. Like for me personally, because skill gets downgraded. You need skill in playoffs, but it gets downgraded to a degree because your skill never rises to the occasion if you don't have the extra push through. If you don't have the grit and determination and the extra push, it's never going to work. Thomas Harley has that in spades, so he's going to be a player to watch going forward for many years.
And you also need the better goaltender most often than not. Is this series going to also be remembered as Jake Ottinger just being better than Connor Hellebuck?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's a fair statement. It's not. It can be very easy for me here just to pinpoint Hellebuck and say that, but let's also give Ottinger some credit here. The game is growing as the playoffs has rolled along here. The Dallas Stars game is growing as the playoffs have rolled along here, and they're going to be, as now we get into the Edmonton series, Skinner's coming back into being the best version of himself. If he can continue on to do that, which is going to be a requirement for the Edmonton Oilers to have success, because of Jake Ottinger. And Ottinger, he's a big body, guys. He's not busy. He's playing between the posts. He's making big, timely saves. They're not giving up much though either, eh? The Dallas Stars, they're on time. That save there that you guys just showed on the highlight. Sometimes you got to be lucky to be good, like diving across, hitting the butt end of your stick. But if you watch him real closely here, that one there, that's the lucky save. But if you watch him outside of that, the routine saves, everything's between the posts, and he's eating everything. So. That's a really good team. Like that is just a really good hockey team, and all four teams are real good here, sitting in the Final Four. The Dallas Stars, though, they're just programmed a little bit differently, I think, than Edmonton, a la Florida in the East. But Carolina's only played 10 games, so Carolina's been sitting around resting, and this plays right into their hand with the way that they play the game.
Yeah, just one note on Ottinger, like. You don't realize how big he is until you get him in a handshake line. The guy's like 6'6". Like he is huge.
Okay, he's huge.
I legitimately did not know that.
He's a big body. Like
big body's an
he's
understatement.
a big body. Yeah, and there's something to be. It's curious, eh? Like let's think about the